What's up everybody, it's me Just Great, and today I will be talking about how you can play Gambit, essentially. Not play, but explain things to you, let's say. So, first let's go over the basics. First thing you're going to want to know is what the game mode is. First things first, Gambit is what is it? Game mode that is, a hybrid game mode, that's what it's called. Gambit is a hybrid game mode that combines both PvE and PvP. We'll be talking about those respectively in a little bit. Essentially what a hybrid game mode is putting two game modes together to create one. So first of all, we talk about the PvP aspect of it. First, in the PvP aspect, you invade, essentially. Invading is where you go through a portal, which you may see in a few minutes here, to the other team's map. Because you both basically have the same map, but you don't interact with each other in the basic game. But when you invade, it allows you to hunt the other guardians. If you kill a guardian and they're carrying motes, they instantly lose all of their motes. And if they're in the middle of a primeval fight, the primeval will gain health for every kill. How much I'm not exactly sure, but still it's enough to turn the tide of who's gonna win. In fact, I've seen many of these games between me and another team, and we only won because our invader managed to kill everyone on their team multiple times, or at least everyone on their team once and then another person twice. Next is the PvE aspect. You're going to see quite a bit more PvE aspect of the game than you are going to see PvP. When you kill an enemy, it drops a mote. These motes allow, when you pick up these motes, you must bank them. When you bank them, depending on how many you have, you can bring blockers over to the other side of the other player's side. The max number of motes you can carry is 15, and we'll be talking about mote numbers and how and what blockers they give you. But first, let's talk about the enemies in PvP. You will receive a random enemy every time you get into a match. Or you could technically say that the drifter randomly chooses it for you. Whatever you may choose. All these different enemies have different health numbers, of course, and things like that. Different enemies they have to fight against within each faction. So you have the Fallen, the Scorn, the Cabal, the Hive, and I think that's it. Please tell me if I missed any in the comments. I don't always get and the Vex, that's right. However, you must also keep in mind that with this new hybrid game mode, every single enemy you fight against is going to be quite a bit stronger. For example, a Hive Knight may die by one shotgun blast in the normal game, let's say, but he probably will not in Gambit. That is because enemies have quite a bit more health, which is why they want you to play as a team. Because if you go off as a loner, you will not begin anywhere as that. So next, let's talk about mote numbers and blockers. So for every 5 motes you gain, you can send a small blocker if you bank them. For every 10, so let's say you have 10, you can now send a medium. So yeah, for 10 you can send a medium blocker. If you have 15, which is the max, you can send a large blocker. So if you have 5 motes and you bank them, you can send a small. 10 motes and you block them, you can send a medium, and the max number of motes and you bank them, you can send a large. First, let's talk about the small blocker. All it has is just a basic melee ability and its basic attack, but don't be underestimating him. He has quite a large health pool, and his melee, I think, is pretty strong. He also does quite a bit of damage with his basic attack. Next, we have the medium blocker. The medium blocker also has a basic attack and a melee attack. However, his shield is invincible, which means you cannot shoot through it, just like the actual Cabal failing shield, unless of course you're using Skyburners. But Skyburners does not affect this guy's shield at all. Finally is the large blocker. This guy has a absolutely ludicrously large health pool. So make sure that you go into him with multiple friendlies with you. Because chances are, if you have 15 motes and you're only going to fight that guy all by yourself, you are not going to be able to take him down. Because your attacks are just going to be far too weak in order to do that. So he has his basic attack, and then he has his melee attack, of course. And then he also has burn, where he shoots flames out of his eye. And it does quite a bit of damage if you stand in it for too long. So it's not a very good idea to remain in one place when fighting against this guy. Now, let's talk about the Primeval. Once your fire team banks 100 motes, you will spawn a Primeval. This guy can be anything. Most likely it's going to be a taken version of an enemy from the faction you're fighting, but it also randomly depends. This guy has a massive amount of health, and he will do a ton of damage. These guys are usually pretty well affected by supers, especially ones that make them lose their balance a little bit. So you could be using Middle Tree, Solar, Titan. You could be using anything basically that can make an enemy trip. So those are pretty good. You're not going to get much out of normal primary or special weapon weapons, but you will get somewhere with heavy ammo weapons. Now let's talk about invading a little bit more. When you invade, you will instantly get an overshield, which means you have quite a bit more health and can deal quite a bit more damage. When you invade, you can see where all your enemies are, or where all the other guardians are. When you kill all 4 guardians, you get army of 1, which basically means you killed 4 or more guardians in one invasion, which is pretty impressive. It's pretty hard to do this with just normal basic ammo weaponry, but it's definitely possible. I've done it a few times, but you're gonna get it more out of you're gonna get more out of using supers than anything else, as you probably saw in the previous clip. Next we have something else to talk about. Next we have the envoys. These guys will spawn along with the primeval. They're shielded, and the first wave of them has quite a bit amount of health. Whenever you kill them, you get what's called primeval killer, I believe. This will give you a slight damage increase against primevals, and it does stack to a certain point. Now let's talk about something that kind of annoys me quite a bit. The meta. You usually find the meta probably within PvP, maybe in open world, but from what I've noticed, there isn't really a Gambit meta. This is probably because, you know, usually the meta, again, focuses on only PvE, which means it does quite a bit of damage to Guardians. Sometimes you'll find the meta, but not very often. I've rarely found a meta in Gambit, except for maybe that gnawing hunger mountaintop meta from Hell a few seasons ago. Let's go over some of the weapons you should use. What you probably want to use is mostly Gambit weapons, since these things are meant mostly for Gambit. You could technically say that you create a meta out of this, but that's up to you. I always recommend using Gambit weapons since they're easier to get when you grind out Gambit, and they actually do quite well. Like, for example, what I'm running the entirety of this video is the new Gambit scout rifle and the Gambit SMG from last season. So they make a pretty good one. They make a pretty good loadout. I'm also running the Masterworks Battle Men's that you get if you reset your Infamy rank twice, I believe. Speaking of Infamy, let's talk about that next. You earn Infamy when you complete Gambit matches or complete Gambit bounties. Some of them are easy to do, some of them are harder, but it really all depends on what you get. Next we have Infamy levels. The first few levels are relatively easy to gain, since they're the first few levels, which means because you earn about 90 Infamy per game if you win, or I believe 120, which means you can get quite a few levels in just a few games if you're constantly winning. If you lose, you get under 100, but they can still increase your Infamy. However, once you reach the last Infamy rank, you will always have to win. Any Infamy earned that you get from losing a game will not count towards the last Infamy rank. You can either get it from winning or by completing bounties, I believe. Once you complete all the ranks, you will be able to reset it to get quite a few good rewards that will help you anywhere you go. But I think that's going to be it for now. I've talked about everything I can think of. I thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Stay safe, stay healthy, and enjoy these last few minutes of free clips. See y'all later.
Portal is primed. Lock and load. Embrace the darkness. Take out those guardians. Ten seconds left. Bringing you back. Good hunt. Hostiles incoming at the depot. High value target identified. Get him. Portal's up. Go look him in the eyes. Yeah! High value target eliminated. Hostiles incoming at the cavern. Portal's ready. Go say hello. Your allies invading the other side. Primeval's up. Target the envoys first.